Salutations, my fellow dudes and dudettes, and welcome back to Tales of Phantasia. Last time, we took on the water spirit Undine and acquired her as a summon. I think we also got a Phoenix, really awesome tech for class. Real darn shame we're not going to be able to use it too often. Alright, in order to get to next dungeon, you want to go east of Alvanista, take the east exit and the bridge right next to it. Head southward and you're going to come to this harbor. This is where you want to go in order to get to the next dungeon, or at the very least the next continent where the dungeon is. There's going to be a town there of which we can explore, but again, this is where you want to go. Thankfully, it doesn't cost much. 80 gal per person, so it's like, what, 320 gal? So it's pretty awesome, all things considered. Anyway, here we are. Welcome to Freyland. That's Freyland. Anyway, now that we come here, let's head on to the nearest village, Olive Village. It's really hot here. Not much else to it, honestly. This village doesn't really have a lot going for it. You only come here for the sake of getting supplies, because all the NPCs don't have much value, and they don't have a whole lot to say, really. No useful information. I guess if you want to count that NPC, the first NPC we talked to, they did mention Ifrit, who lives east of here in a cave. It's just that that cave is filled with lava, and getting through it could be a bit tough. When she is right. Anyway, we are coming here to do a little bit of shopping for some basic supplies. You want to fill your food sack up while you're here. Also, what was I going to say? My goodness, I'm really off today. I tried to record this once already, and I'm baffled by the fact that my audio crapped out on me. In fact, now apparently... Alright, I apologize about that, sudden, like, random pause, I guess you can call it. I was just checking to make sure that my audio didn't die out on me, like, that's happened enough of times. Like, I'm probably gonna have to get a new microphone at some point. The one I'm using is called a Blue Snowball. I think I paid, $30 to $40 for it. It's not a it's a fairly cheap microphone, so... I mean, it does a decent enough job, I suppose. Anyways, as I was saying, you want to buy as much food here as you possibly can to fill up your sack. Considering the fact we have a lot of gal to spare after the boss fight with Undine, as well as all the unnecessary fights we had throughout the remainder of that dungeon. I do like the track that plays here in Olive Village. It's very bouncy. It's perfect for an Oasis setting. Let me just say that. Also, I do like how class like starts to sweat a bit when he gets here. It's funny because now that I think about it, in a later cutscene where we have to come back here, because we do have to come back here for plot purposes, Class comments that, man, it's hot here, or whatever. It's strange. I'm surprised he doesn't say it, like, now. But... Well, I mean, I guess to be fair, like, plot-wise, there's no reason to come to Olive Village at all. You can easily just bypass it and head right for the dungeon, so... I guess there's that excuse. Anyway, as the first NPC said, our summon spirit lies east of us. Assuming I can actually... What am I doing? Oh, okay, that was random. Whatever, the cave is right here, booyah. Anyway, welcome to Molten Cavern, our second Summon Spirit dungeon. This dungeon is a bit more confusing to get about, at least in my opinion. I got lost I got lost slightly more than I did in Udine's glaciated cave. Because with that dungeon, I walked out of the dungeon. In this dungeon, I found myself walking around in circles a good number of times. Anyway, we got excuse me. We got a new enemy here in the form of the ogres, or like the trolls, or giants. It's the green variety. It was the green variety of them from way earlier. They're fire resistant, so the phoenix is going to be useless to us. In fact, all the enemies, as well as the boss itself, are fire-based, so turn that phoenix off, as well as Arch's fire-based magic. And try to prioritize all of Arch's ice magic. I don't necessarily do that myself, because the Thunderblade does a decent enough job on its own, but still. I believe Ice Tornado does a significant amount of damage. We don't get Ice Wall for quite some time, I believe. Anyway, we got another new enemy in the form of Azza. As far as I can tell, Azza does two things. Azza shoots some fire. Azza uses the fireball magic as well as tractor beam. You want to watch out for that tractor beam because it will lift all your opponent. It will lift all your party member. It will lift your party members off the ground, unless, except for Arch, because she's flying, so she's not affected. So, in your face, Arch has the ability levitate. Again, Azza will be using tractor beam the most, though. It's her most effective spell. It just takes a little bit. If you can disrupt her casting time, you shouldn't have much of an issue with Azza. I think that's the only enemy. Those two are the only enemy encounters in this dungeon, which is weird because Glaciated Cave we at least had three new enemies. In this dungeon we only have two. So. Alright, now we have the Sorcerer's Ring. This is a trademark item for the Tales of series. It carries on throughout a lot of games. I'm not exactly sure if it's in every game, but in a large majority of them, it is. It also becomes much more useful in other games because they do a lot more interesting stuff with it. In this game, though, since the first one, all it does is shoot a little beam out. And you can use it to hit things from afar. You can't use it on enemies, which is a shame, because you can stun them in, Tales of Phantasia. You can use the Sorcerer's Ring to, like, stun enemies, so you can pretty much just avoid battle altogether, which is pretty nice. Only downside is, unlike that game, you have to actively equip the Sorcerer's Ring, which is a shame, especially if you're trying to equip a really good accessory to one of your party members. But at the same time, though, you're not going to use the Sorcerer's Ring in, like, every dungeon, as a matter of fact. I would just equip some nice accessories on to your party members until you have to use the Sorcerer's Ring. So then you would just switch into the Sorcerer's Ring, complete the puzzle, and then switch back. No problem at all. I'm contemplating what I want to do because Phoenix isn't gonna... What the hell? Why did I not do... Past me? Anyway, I cut out all the way to the beginning because that's where we gotta use the Sorcerer's Ring at. There's a little switch here we have to press. Once we head up here, well, for one, there's gonna be some chests, as well as a stairway going down. I don't exactly remember what that weapon transforms into. I don't remember it being very useful though. The Gungnire is gonna be one of our best weapons for a very long time. At least until it's taken away from us, spoiler. Just prioritizing my equipment right now, see what I can do. Oh yeah, the Battle Rune, I just got that. The Battle Rune increases attack strength by 10%, which is beautiful for class. So it increases your accuracy, stab, and slice by a pretty significant amount. If you use the rune bottle on it, I believe it turns it into an item that increases your TP or defense by 10%. I don't remember. If it is if it's defense, it's probably the Guardian rune or something like that. Now I sort of screw up here because there was a route I disregarded in the previous room. I was supposed to head up, which is kind of infuriating because it's like, damn it, now I'm back at the beginning of the dungeon, so now I have to make my way all the way back over there. Again, I've walked into countless circles in this dungeon. It's really stupid. I'm not sure how I even managed to get lost in this dungeon. Stupid enemy encounter, right? That is going to be the death of you, or the end of you in this game. It really is. I would suggest putting holy bottles on, but you're gonna want the experience, and you're gonna want as much experience out of this dungeon before you leave. Not saying the boss fight is hard, but some bosses later on are going to be. You don't want to be underleveled. Especially considering the fact I've been sort of slacking on, like, getting Pless's skills up to snuff, as well as being at competent levels. Anyway, that is what we needed to acquire. I, for some reason, completely ignored it. The magma key. This will allow us to proceed through the rest of the dungeon. In order to get through this door, though, we gotta use the sorcerer swing on this switch. We could have done this earlier, but the problem is, if we were to do it earlier, we would just come to another door, which we wouldn't be able to open. That's what the magma key is for. Now we got a little weird puzzle here. We gotta make a road across the lava, so we gotta hit these little pillars with our sorcerer's ring. I have no idea why I'm struggling with this. You don't need to shoot the one in the top left, it doesn't lead anywhere. Just shoot all the other ones and you should be just fine. I shoot it anyways out of legitimate habit or whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna make some preparations for the boss fight. Again, it's not gonna be that terribly difficult. I'll explain that when we actually get into the fray. But you never know. You want to be prepared regardless, because anything is possible. Anything could happen at any given point. Especially considering I was recording this. Murphy's Law can take effect at any given time. Alright, I think we're good. Oh yeah, that's right, Phoenix. Why did I not turn this off earlier? I think I equipped Focus. Now, Focus is pretty good. It increases your attack as well as your speed. It's like a what was it, a flare bottle? With the speed bonus in mind. I don't use it too terribly often, at least for a little bit though, considering the fact I'm trying to raise up all my other techs. Focus will never benefit you in terms of combo techs. To my knowledge, anyway. I'm here to request a contract with you, Fire Spirit. Well, you seem to know about our culture. Then I assume you know the only way I can grant a contract is by testing you on battle first. Alright, we've got the boss fight with Ifrit. Unlike Undini, this fight is it's not much of a problem at all, really. Once again, fighting of the spirit is a great check, but with Ifrit himself, he teleports throughout the entire battlefield, and he shoots fireballs. That is it. That is all he does, I am not kidding you. He doesn't have access to fire, spells like, Eruption or Firewall. Well, we haven't seen Firewall yet, but it is a spell we do get after this fight, which is a pretty powerful spell, all things considered. With, Ifrit himself, though, since he teleports quite, consistently, you want to use your Tiger Teeth or, Blade Storm in order to, possibly get him in a stun lock so he's not constantly moving about. As for the fireballs, it is a rapid fire maneuver, but it doesn't do enough damage to be considered a threat. And just like that, we just took him out. That was really easy. Mint has learned a new ability known as Nurse. Now this ability makes me consider putting the mystical rune on Mint, because Nurse not only heals a decent amount for your party member, it heals all your party members, including yourself. The problem is the casting time is obnoxiously long. So I'm contemplating whether I should grind up in order to get another mystic rune, or at the very least just give the one from Arch to Mint in order for emergency purposes. Like, she's doing a very capable job of getting Thunderblade out very quickly. But, yeah. As for Ifrit, by the way, you want to use your water and ice spells. He's weak to all of those. Arch Wheaton. Now we just got Arch the Firewall spell. Fantastic stuff. Stupid encounter. And that's about it. This is good. This is a rather short part, but that's only because the dungeon itself isn't that long. Anyways, next time on Tales of Phantasia, we're going to be tackling the final summon spirit before we head to Moria Gallery, Gnome. Until then, I got a juice. This video was awkward.